And we're up to Yudaluf. Right? First, let me just explain something before we go. In the Lamed Tes Malachos, there's the Avish Malachos, and there's the Toldos. So the Avish Malachos are based in the Mishkan, and also on the way they used to make the bread, like starting from Zayreya and all these things. One of the Malachos in the Mishkan was Dosh. What does Dosh mean? Dosh means that there's for Shesa today everything's done by machinery, it's different, but on August when things were done by hand, so the farmer would come into the field and he would cut down the wheat. He would cut down the wheat. The wheat grows on a stalk. And on top of the stalk, there's like a bag, and in that bag there's kernels. There's little pieces of what looks like people make popcorn. So seeds. The kernels look like those little pieces of popcorn. Those little pieces are in a shell. So they have to break open the shell and get out the flour. But the first thing you have to do is, after you cut down the stalks, so they would take them to what they call a granary. A granary is in halacha, in Hebrew we call it the gaiden, or a shayir. That's how they used to call it in Yiddish. Over there, the first thing you had to do was you had to separate the stalks, those long pieces, from those bags. After you got the bags, you have to get out the kernels from the bag. So what they used to do the olden days was they would have animals stepping on it, and b'meila it would break. It's like a shell. So the shell would break, and the kernels would fall out. Then later, the kernel was mixed with the pieces of the bag. I think it's called shaft. I think that's what it's called. And so you have to separate the kernels from that. So they did what they called miruach. Miruach means wind shovel. What says wind shovel? They would stand with a shovel and keep up shovels of the kernels and throw it up in the air. When you throw it up in the air, so the kernel, which was heavy, had some weight in it, would fall down. The pieces from that bag would fly away. That's what's called wind shovel. It's a shovel into the wind. And then there's the other thing. Once you got the kernels, you have to grind it. I'm not going to go into that. So right now, we're talking about, there's a malacha known as dosh. Dosh means a dreshen, yeah, which the idea is to get out the kernel from the bag. Anything that's similar of getting out something from something is called mefarek. Mefarek means to separate. So mefarek is a tolda of dosh. Okay. So now we'll go back over here to after this explanation, we'll go back over here. And he says, Kitni is sukadaiman, shehein beklipa. The kidney is beans. How do the beans grow? They grow in a shell. Like you have stream beans. So there's a shell, a green shell. You have to break it open, and inside is the beans. Yeah. So to break open that thing, to take out the beans, is mefarek. It's taken just like you have by the stalk, where you have the package, and you have to take out the kernel from the shell. So the same thing over here also. You're taking out the bean from the casing that it grows in. That's good. So he says, kitnius. ukadaima. Kitnis means beans or type of beans. Shehem beklipa, that they are in a shell. Shekaiden shazitin or shavitin. Shavit is a casing. Okay. Im haklipas adayin lachis. If the casing that has in it the beans is still soft, is ru'uyim gamken lachila, and they could be eaten. So about they could be eaten. Mutter v'poischom, you're allowed to open them. V'kachas mehem esa klipas, and take out the esa kidneys. I'm sorry. Take out the bean. Why? He says, because the havi kemafrid oichel ma'oichel. In the case of
because you can eat the
dosh,
shells.
in the case of dosh, you're separating the kernel has the flour in it. So you're separating the kernel from that shaft, from the piece of material that holds it, that holds the big. So over there, you're not separating oichel from oichel, but over here you could eat it as it is.
Right. The string beans you can eat the outside, get the inside.
Yeah. Avolim klipas nisyapshu, but if the klip is dried, and b'meila ve'enim rui oil rachila, you just have to throw them out. They're not good anymore because they're dry. You can't eat it. It's also lakachas mehem as a kidneys. So you can't take out the kidneys because that will be mefarik, which is a told of dosh.
But isn't everything like that? A banana is the same thing.
So you're taking out the peel is royal achila. An animal can eat it.
As long as it's somebody, it can be eaten.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the problem with the nuts.
We'll soon get to that. That's why yes for the siddur. The Alter Rebbe talks about this also in the siddur. Mm-hmm. Over here he says, over here we learned that it depends if the shavit, if the casing is still soft or not. The Alter Rebbe is machma.
But an egg is something that also is royal achila?
Huh?
Eggshells are also royal achila?
Somebody else, maybe it is.
Because if not, it's no different than anything else.
Then there's animals that eat it.
I don't think anything is eggshells.
So then he says further, what you just mentioned, to take out the nuts from the walnut.
It's dry.
וכן השומשומן מתוך הקליפה שלהם. שומשומן is mon. It's mon. We call it mon. Sesame seeds is mon.
No, it's not sesame.
They used to...
Sesame is sesame, right?
Sumsums may be sesame. Mun is something different. Mun is carob, I think. I'm not sure.
Not carob.
What's mun? Mun is sumsum is like a sumsum.
That's the kidneys.
Salivary comes
Kidneys. What means? That's question. Hopefully, what means kidneys? Also, what means kidneys?
Kidneys is beans.
Kidneys is beans.
Beans. So over here, the Alter Rebbe in the Siddur has a piece towards the end where he talks about dinam for Shabbos. It's called, if you have a Siddur, maybe you get a few Siddurim. No, it's not in there. You need these Siddurim. The small Siddurim.
Maybe.
Hilchos Rapsol Shabbos.
Oh, he has one. He wants a juice. I didn't hear.
Get another Siddur too, and everyone will have a Siddur.
The last time we found it in there.
Yeah.
There's one over there.
You say that if you could eat the peel, so it's not, you could do it.
Right.
And if you can't eat the peel, so you can do it.
Well, that's the shine with the eggs.
The eggs. Who peels the eggs on Shabbos? People eggs.
You peel the eggs by your Seder. What do you mean?
Yeah, you see.
Oh,
Hilchos
You don't peel your eggs on Shabbos?
Hilchos
People peel eggs
Rapsol
on
Shabbos. You see it? Over here. Look over here. Reserve. Look by the. It's on page 408.
Third paragraph. Yeah.
He says, Reserve Ma'id, Shralecha b'Shabbos Poilin, Shekailim Bob. Now, Bob is what we call albus.
Yeah, but that's
Then a hit, there's different names for it. They also grow in a casing. They don't grow individual. They grow in a casing, and they open up the casing,
Really?
and they take that out, and then they cook it.
Arbus.
Bein chayin, bein mivusharim, ba'oidam b'shavitim shalem.
If they're still in the
If they're
sleeves.
still in the thing, you shouldn't eat it. Why? Ki ma'achar she'ein hashavitim roy la'achila. And he doesn't make a difference over here if it's soft, if it's not soft. If I says it has no time, they don't eat it. Yesh mishum mefarik l'divrei hakol. It'll be a question of mefarik. Shehu told the hadosh. L'chayiv chatas eskila. Chas v'shol. V'af al pi shekvar nitku ha-poilen me'ashavitin ayidei ha-bishul. Even though they became, in other words, the albus, where it has albus has a little point on top of it. That point is like attached to the
To the inside of
to
the
inside
casing.
to the shell. Now, once it gets cooked,
It falls off.
so
on
it falls off. So when you open it, you don't have to rip off
from the walls.
from the wall, but
It'll
it's
fall
loose.
out anyway.
So that's the saying over here that
Even then.
even though shekvar nitku hapoilen me'ashavit al yidei habishul ve'einem mechubarim by, and they're no longer attached to the wall of the shell. V'chein b'shavitin b'shum shemin.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Bal nefesh yachmo la'atzmai, gam b'mina kidney shekayin albus." So before he was talking, so it could be that Bob is not albus. I mean, I don't know. Ba'oiden b'shavitin, af shashavitin l'uyin la'achila, ki ein zeh het the bottom. It's not a clear cut heter.
But he said the whole thing was because it was shaykh to be eaten. Now he says,
I don't know, but he says ki ein zeh het the bottom.
So you're not eat arbus?
no, arbus, and the way you get it already, they're unshelled already. That's no problem.
Yeah.
What you have, you can eat it. Just like eating sesame seeds that come in a bag already broken out. It's
You
just
never
unshelled.
see the albus the way
It
the
grows.
way it grows. But the ones that cook the albus, they came originally. They grow like string beans. It's called, I think it's called string beans, or what's it?
It's called
It's a type of bean,
garbanzo beans.
green beans.
It's called
That the
garbanzo
inside
beans.
is a little green bean.
Garbanzo, yeah.
When you go to Shalom Zohar,
Now he says over here.
Garbanzo beans, yes.
Now he says here.
You like it?
there's a word for it.
But that's what it is. It's called garbanzo beans. I buy them if you can, but buy them. Garbanzo.
Toivum noya. Look at the next piece. Toivum noya milachel agoizim. Agoizim is walnuts. Vuguzim. Vuguzim is what we call filberts. B'Shabbos. Ellen kain hatziyim mikliposom erev Shabbos. Not unless you know, if it's shelled nuts.
Yeah.
You gotta eat. There's no issue to eat shelled nuts, but to break the nut, to take out the
To remove it from the
that,
shell.
you know, ki hine af ba'oid shapri munach beklipa kulay o mitzosay muta lahasa klipasay biyadai ve'ein bay mishum bayra psagos me'eichel mikol makom la'achar husra haklipa im monachas eze chatichas klipa bein chatichas apri oy bein shalm bein shleimim im masira mishom chayiv chatas. What he's saying like this, the the shaila is, let's say you break open a walnut, okay? So when you break open a walnut,
Halfway.
you have no, not halfway. You break it open, so the walnut, the shell cracks, and b'melo you have now the nut mixed in with pieces of the shell. So you have to separate, and the shell is a hard shell. You can't eat it. So that's why it's a shaila.
He says it's not a problem to take the things out. The problem is that when you put it down, then later you may accidentally.
That's bitter.
That's bitter.
But that's orchel mitzvah psolis. That's okay. The problem is that when you finish it, you put it on the table. Now you may have it pieces of.
No, he said mishum bitter psolis mitoich oichel. You'll take out the
Only afterward, not now.
once you crack it open and it breaks, and you have in your hand the broken nut, the shell with the nut.
Yeah, but then you're taking oichel mitzvah psolis. That's not. A
No,
problem.
that's if you take oichel. That would be good. But if you take out the pieces
Or
of
if you
shell,
take away the shells
the
and
piece
leave,
of
and
shell,
leave over that.
and you'll eat what's left.
Yeah,
So
then-
that's
right,
by the
right,
psolis.
right,
That's
that's the problem, right.
Avo is Ella. What should you do? Yivra hapri me'aklipas. You should be by the oichel. Take out don't take out the broken pieces of shell. Take out the food. V'loi yiga ba'klipas kol, and don't touch the broken piece of the shell. Va'filu im aklipas menachas levadam, b'lishum pri b'neim, yesh isa gadol b'tutula mishum muksa k'noida, v'kosher izor b'kolzeh. So that's why he holds that you're not allowed to eat like the walnut or let's say there's let's say the peanuts that come in a shell. So some don't eat that on Shabbos because I saw people that they don't even break the shell. They eat the peanut with the shell.
But the soft one, like sesame
Yeah,
seeds.
yeah, or like or sunflower seeds.
Sunflower or pumpkin seeds. Yeah.
Pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, they eat it with the shell.
They eat it together.
Right.
So maybe so the whole thing
That's
is
not a
already
problem.
achila, so it's not a problem. But walnuts or filberts is a problem. Okay, I want to show
Yeah,
you.
see, Rabbi, it says it the other way around.
Yeah.
It says over Kihine, af beoitsha pri manuach beklipvasei kulai oy miksasei. That means if the thing is cracked in half, the nut,
Right,
and you still have the.
So then you could just take out.
He says mutala you could take out the good from the bad. The problem is, he says, what is the problem?
When the shell breaks.
and the shell is going to be over, and
Break,
it's going
not be open. It's going to break. And the nut is mixed up with the broken pieces of shell.
Right, then you may come to take
So
take
then
away that.
there's a question of beta.
Yeah. So there's a shadow also when you have a strawberry and it has the leaf on the top. So if you're tearing off the leaf, I mean, probably it's also mistabak lachila.
But over there, it's not beta. It's being separated. It's a question.
So I heard once that you should put the thing in your mouth and then you're pulling your mouth away
The
from
same
it.
thing is also with watermelon. When you eat watermelon,
Yeah, you put the
today they have
pieces
seedless watermelon.
Yeah, but you say you
And
put
all
the
the
you should
they
pick them
didn't have
out.
seedless watermelon, so you should take the watermelon and spit out
spit the pits, right.
and not to pick out the
Yeah.
seeds before you eat it.
In Yerushalayim is Shabbos afternoon.
Yeah, they all eat shemen.
Huh?
In Yerushalayim, he said, Bnei Brak,
So I
they eat
told
the
you, I'm
shemesh.
telling you why. Because you eat the whole thing.
No, they break them.
But you could eat the whole thing.
Oh, that's the heter.
Yeah.
Because you can eat the whole thing, that's why they do that.
They eat sunflower seeds.
I think the reason that they do that is because they
Sunflower
spit them
seeds
straight
also-
on the street anyway.
No,
you know?
sunflower seeds also they
You can eat the
whole
shell?
thing. You eat the
That's not
shell.
as easy
Yeah,
as
it's
the
salted. It's salted.
They eat it and they
People
spit it
people
out.
like
The whole
people like
street gets
the
littered.
salt on it.
Shabbos afternoon work. You walk down the street.
Tom nicht da rausgehen für Stub um dem.
Huh?
In Shalom, Tom nicht da rausgehen für Stub.
Oh, no, Keshen ungefiltert.
Da muss man da raus für Stub und stand für die Käschen ist. Das mit Schriegen.
What?
It's two different nuts. It's two different nuts. Sunflower seeds, sunflower seeds.
Sunflower
It's
seeds.
soft.
Soft.
Yeah, and
Pumpkin seeds also
pumpkin seeds is also.
is also. But I don't know if the
Pumpkin is the white the salted one.
Right.
Okay, that's called pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, but something else is called
Sesame seeds, shemichkis.
shevishkes.
Semishkis
Shemichkis, but the shell and the shemichkis are too hard. It's like splinters.
is
Sunflower seeds.
It's sunflower seed.
But sunflower seeds, if
You could eat it. There's people that chew it. They want to taste the salt. They like the salt that's on it.
Ja, aber sie haben gut verstanden, wie er sie mit der...
Huh?
Sie haben gut verstanden, was meint der Schab.
Okay.
Shabbos, yeah. No, es ist ein anderes.
The next thief. Look, I'm not going to start it now, but the next thief starts about juice, squeezing squeezing lemon. He talks about squeezing lemon to make lemonade. If you look over here, he says to make lemonade. He says, the Zachas are saying, today in America, from every fruit they have juice. But in Morgenzeiten, they didn't have, fruits were eaten. They weren't juiced. So the only fruit that was juiced was olives for the oil and grapes for wine. But others were, so the Alter Rebbe talk about it. When we get the next the סימן in Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. Moshe, let's say, to make apple juice. Make apple juice is not an Issa D'Oraisa, because it's not a fruit that's juiced. That's what Alter Rebbe says. It's only Issa D'Rabbanan. To make oil, to make wine, is a Issa D'Oraisa. Because that's the fruits that we... So some are makel on other juices, and some hold that midrabanan you're not allowed to. But midrash you're allowed. Yes, we have the shaila, which is going to talk about over here, about squeezing lemon. So they make a chiluk when it comes just talking about peve. To make lemon, there's a din that you're allowed to squeeze into food, but you're not allowed to squeeze into water. So B'mela, what some people do is, what Moshe was saying, let's say you have a tea, okay? You have a tea, and you like your tea with lemon.
Right.
So could you take the lemon and squeeze it into the water?
It's
No.
surely no.
But what do some people do? They squeeze it into the sugar. And then they put the wet sugar into the tea. So because the sugar has a din of a eichel.
Oh, you can do that?
Yeah, that's one of the tatum that they do.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Wat was in de Zucker bij jou?
Teich Michael.
Aber dann,
In a Michael mag man reinquetschen, was geht rein a Tam in the Michael.
das ist